You were clapping at the same time. He's like herds, eh? Welcome, guys. Welcome back. This is episode 7 of our P90 Podcast. We were gone for a while, but we're back with an absolute buzzing one. I'm here sitting across from me with Sebastian Dzikowski. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
Only been friends for 13 years, and holy moly, more than that too. More than that as well.
Wild.
Yeah.
Since the Southwest days.
Seb, he's a current professional for Vancouver FC in the CPL. We grew up together, I think, playing from when we were starting 11 or something, 11, 12?
Yeah, something like that.
Like that.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think U10, U12 Southwest days.
Yeah.
Good old days.
It's been a massive journey. I just recently connected back with him after I think it was 4 or 5 years we haven't connected or anything like that.
Yeah.
But YYC grown, and Seb, if you want to introduce yourself to the viewers and everything.
Yeah, Money, thank you for having me. Kind of gave me the whole spiel anyways, but grew up playing footy in Calgary, all around, playing Southwest, Villains. Actually started off in like Edgemont, then Cal West, then Southwest, then Villains. Finished up at Foothills, went and played 5 years at UBC. And then, just recently got signed to a U Sports contract for Van FC for the 2024 season. Played there this year. And now I'm back home in the off season, grinding and doing podcasts with Money. So that's been the journey.
Just a little bit of a backstory. Some of the guys I grew up with, they called me Money Monahan. And so I know that name is that's like 5-6 years old name, but the old boys still call me that.
There's a handful of us that call you by that. Yeah, I'll probably go in between Matt and Money throughout the podcast, but
man. So you guys, you've heard a little bit of his backstory and stuff, just a little bit. But what I really want to do is start in youth, because I said, we grew up together, we played together. When I was a kid, 11, 12, Sebastian was a massive player on the team, and we're both really excited to kind of chat about that and to see both the struggles and the triumphs of youth. So, Seb, what was it like for youth in Calgary soccer for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly it's interesting because I'll say one thing. I think that youth in Calgary right now is very lucky to have all the turf fields and the ability to play throughout the winter, because we did not.
Yeah,
we were grinding in gyms. Carpet floors, Subway Soccer Center, Northwest Soccer Center. The youth out there right now from YYC, you guys are lucky. But no, youth was good. Yeah, I bounced around because I started off obviously playing kind of house, just playing local team, Edgemont, which I think most kids kind of start out. And as years kind of progressed, my parents felt that I'd be better suited playing at a little bit of a higher level, tier B, tier A, whatever it was at the time. So they got jumped over to Cal West, and I always played kind of a year up or 2 years up as I went through my youth. So obviously Southwest, Money being a year older than me, played up with you, and then I went to Villains, where I actually ended up playing with the 01 team. We had baller 01 team, JJ Walter, Tom Goldring.
How old were you when you went to Villains? Sorry.
12?
Yeah.
12, 13, something like that. I think I went.
I remember that.
Yeah, maybe 11 even, because I think I went for the U12, U14 season, I want to say. Because I remember we played provincials, trying to go to nationals in U14, and we lost. But yeah, somewhere around there. I think 11, 12, I can't remember exactly. But so what had happened was I was at Southwest, and then I was with the OOs, with you boys, and then there was an 01 team kind of coming up, so I played with them. But we kind of decided to jump ship because we felt it was a bit more beneficial for me to be playing with the Villains team. It was just a little bit higher level at the time, the 01 team, and so I did that. Had a lot of success with those boys. Stayed with them for a few years. Ended up making the non-team in 2013, which was that was a good time. Not sure if it's even still going on.
Maybe
these
explain
days,
what's not, because I don't think.
Yeah, so it was basically what it was. Actually, weirdly enough, Zinedine Zidane was the guy that the founder of it or whatever, I think. But it's called the Non-Nations Cup, and it was I think over 8,000 kids or something that tried out over all across Canada, different cities. And so us in Calgary, all the ballers in Calgary would go and train or try out. And I was lucky enough to get selected in 2013 to play for like Canada West. So there was a Canada East team where like the Quebec guys, Ontario guys played, and there was a Canada West that was like BC, Alberta, Sask kind of. And so I got picked, which was a pretty cool experience. They took us to Montreal to play against the Canada East team in a head-to-head, and then the winner of that game ended up going to England and to London and playing some games against like other countries there. So unfortunately, we ended up losing in the game, so we didn't end up going. But that was, I guess, kind of like the first experience of like kind of traveling, like big game moments. I don't know, kind of like cool tournament, whatever, like type vibe, which was very cool, especially kind of making it out of 8,000 kids, being the only one, or one of the only guys, was pretty special. And yeah, and then obviously we had like ASA and things like that, but I actually did not end up making ASA in my first year. Things kind of started to go not necessarily down for me, but I think more plateaued, because as a kid I felt like I was quite good, but I think a lot of that just came down to the fact that I was just really quick. So just like run past kids when you're like 7 or 8 years old. And then I kind of started to grow a lot and got a little bit like kind of lanky, uncoordinated, like a little bit of a giraffe on skates, but like I still had the footy ability just from kind of growing up and doing all the like the techs and academies with Southwest and Villains and all that helped so much. But the boys kind of caught up, and I felt like I was kind of getting left behind a little bit, and so I kind of took it on myself to keep grinding. And second year I made the ASA team, which was good, and then after that I kind of got abolished and like turned into RPC. Or like Rex, whatever you want to call it, but I didn't ever make like RPC either. And so just kind of turned into like a little bit of an underdog, because I felt I kind of slowed down a little bit and wasn't like one of the big guys coming up as we kind of got into like 14, 15, 16. And then I ended up going to Foothills, and they created like the Gen Next program, right? Which obviously both me and Matt were a part of. Which was a pretty cool program, because it brought in like 99s, 2000s, 01s, and I think there was like 102 or 202. It was like Caden was the 102, and like the program for that was specifically to kind of go and play against like university teams at like a higher level to try and get us exposure, to then kind of make that jump and end up playing in U Sports or ACAC or wherever, right, for college. And I mean, like as a young guy, when you're 2 years old or 3 years older than some of the guys on the team, it's interesting. You learn to kind of grow a pair in a sense a little bit.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you have to like play up to the level of your teammates. So when you're playing with guys that are 2 years older than you, obviously they're going to be faster, they're going to be sharper, things like that. And so like I felt that a lot of us 01s had to kind of lock in a sense, and like those sessions were always scrappy and very vocal, and in a sense it brought the best of us, because it was always competitive. Like we were always getting after it. And so for myself, like I felt like I was always kind of a little bit more of like a timid kind of like stray away from conflict kind of kid growing up. But that, like, I'm very grateful for that team, because it kind of allowed me to kind of come out of my shell and like stand up for myself in certain situations and grow into kind of a player with a lot more confidence, and needing to have that confidence, because if you don't have confidence in the game, like you're not going to get anywhere with it. So yeah, that Gen Next program kind of started to open the doors, I feel like, for a lot of guys. We obviously had our 99 group kind of go next year. All of them ended up going U Sports. A couple guys went to Dinos, one guy went to Sask, and then the OOs, obviously you followed, it's kind of similar trend, ended up going to Leth, where he had some success, and some of the other boys went, Dinos, MRU, all over the place, Santa FX even, and then it was kind of my turn up, and I was talking to Moshe, being the head coach at UBC, because we had kind of interacted now for the last couple of years due to the Gen Next program, kind of grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, and went out there on trial, and then I ended up signing, I think, like January of my grade 12 year.
Wow.
I think it just like when you're doing kind of looking to like put yourself out there and you're trying to get signed for a university team, like I had a lot of success because I had done it so early on, and like credit to Foothills and credit to my parents.
Exactly,
They were the ones that kind of like told me like you ought to be doing this now, because the longer you wait, the less time they'll have to look at you and to kind of gain that exposure. And so they pushed me, and so like I was going out in grade 11 for a week or two out to Van and kind of going to different universities, getting looked at, spent some time at UBC, and then grade 12 I did the same thing, and then obviously with like the travel team with Gen Next, got exposure there. So there was like 3, 4, 5 moments where he got to witness my kind of gameplay, and yeah. So then I guess it was a large enough sample size for him to trust in me and sign me, and then then I got signed to UBC. So that was the shortened version of youth, of my youth soccer experience. And I guess, I mean, another big moment, because after Gen Next, there was like a little like half a year period where like we were still Foothills, but there wasn't the Gen Next thing kind of wrapped up, because the 99s went out to uni, and that's when we had the provincial year, where we kind of got like really close, I would say, with a few of the other lads, like shout out Zach Mack and Lucas Vituk. But that was another interesting season, because that was also a combo of like 01s and 00s on our team.
Were there 02s as well?
I don't think so. I think that no, because the 02s were themselves going for provincials and nationals, so I don't think they had any with us. Because it was like your 00 national year, and then 02s had their national year as well. So I don't think there were any 02s. But we had a good roster. Like Danny Kais and stuff was there too, and Kraker and whatnot. And unfortunately didn't get the job done. I think the Edmonton boys ended up going, which was it was CNS one.
Oh,
geez. CNS
yeah,
one.
Victor Latour. Shout out Victor Latour.
Vic ran show with Big Derek and Zach.
Decent squad too, to be fair. That was a decent squad.
That was a good CNS team. But yeah, we got close there, and there's we have some good stories.
We do, man.
Maybe not able to share here, but some good times.
Some good videos
on that trip, yeah, for sure, or on that team, that experience. But yeah, that was kind of youth, and then I guess because then you guys went off, I had another half a year stint where then I was kind of there was like an 01, 02 team. Oh, actually, I totally forgot. Like I went to England. With the 01s and 02s.
Really?
Yeah, we went because the Foothills created like I don't know if like a program's the right word, but like an experience where we would go and we would play against like professional academies. Grade 12 year? My grade 12 year.
So so it would have been my first year uni.
Or my the summer of grade 12, just before I went into my grade 12.
So it would have been 01s or the
O's are going to uni. We're now looking to we're the oldest. So the Foothills with like Tommy Wilden Sr. had an experience there that he lived like a pro UK is what it was called, and so he would essentially promote a lot of like the clubs in Foothills specifically. I'm not sure if he's done any other clubs, but Foothills teams in Calgary, they would go out to the UK, England, and we would play. I think we played like 8 or 10 academy teams, which was sick. Like we played Chelsea, got absolutely bopped. Absolutely bopped. It was like a 45-minute game. We got bopped like 6-0 or something.
Jesus.
But like we beat like QPR.
Wow.
We beat like Swindon Town. We played was it like Plymouth? I think we tied or beat them. We beat Reading, which was cool. We beat Reading like 4-1 or 4-2 or something. But yeah, I forgot to mention that was a pretty unreal experience. Kind of getting a little bit more exposure to like truly like the pro game and seeing those like we played at Cobham, like the Chelsea like training facility, like unbelievable. Yeah. Seeing like Billy Gilmore just in the dressing room, it was wild. But so did that, and then my grade 12 year was when we had our like 01, 02 combo team. We went to nationals, or no, not nationals. We went to provincials. No, we did go to nationals. We won provincials. We went to nationals. That was my first year going to nationals. We ended up losing to Ontario, I think, in the semis or the quarters. But that was my
Yeah.
whole youth. And then at
Jesus.
that point then I got signed to UBC after. But
Well,
eventful.
I really do want to talk about your events at UBC and onward. But before, I want to bring up a few important details of your youth. I feel like something right away that I want to talk about was you being kind of a prodigy at 8 years old. And nowadays, what I see in a lot of kids and parents is they get really excited when their kid is that really tall and stronger 8-year-old, and they're just that much more ahead of the other players, and they get super excited by that, and they start thinking, holy, my kid's got it.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, the kids that, or the parents that maybe their kid is smaller and they're not as developed as another 8, 9, 10-year-old, they get upset. And the thing I'm gonna say is don't get excited if you have that kid that's 8 or 9 and is just bigger and stronger and just developed. Don't get that excited. And likewise, if you're that parent that has the kid that's not as developed, don't be upset by it, because by the time you're 10, 11, 12, you don't even know if the kid's gonna like soccer. You don't even know if he's gonna like that sport. This today's soccer player is gonna be next year's hockey player type of thing.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
and you could take my journey as a kid in sports, for example, too. Like, I didn't start playing competitive until I started playing with you.
Yeah.
Which is what, like 11, 12, which is pretty late to the game. But before that, I was playing hockey and tennis, and I was, swimming and basketball and doing every single sport because my parents put me in it. And they were super smart by that, because they knew that if I developed my athleticism, by the time I choose to specialize in a sport, then it would be better off for me, and it was. And yeah, I came on the team and I was one of the weaker players off the bat, but I developed very rapidly because I have that athleticism. But that's because I just did so much stuff as an 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old, and I never worried about not being the biggest, strongest, because I knew it was going to come as well. And in the same way, it's almost like with your story, you were that 8-year-old prodigy, right? But when everyone catches up, it's like, what were the things that you personally did? If you can remember, by the time you're maybe 12, 13, 14, wherever this kind of period came where people caught up, what were the things that you had to do as that player, as a kid, to kind of stay above that level?
Yeah. Well, first off, I think that you made a great point about like putting kids in all sorts of sports. I think is so valuable.
So important.
Like, I mean, obviously, I grew up in a little bit of a different situation where, like, my family, Eastern European, they love football. Like, I was always going to be in football.
Sure.
But, like, I would still, like, play on the playground basketball. And I did volleyball and, like, in junior high and stuff in high school. Like playing different sports is so important. And, like, just becoming, like, a multifaceted athlete, like you said, it helps you so much, whether it's hand-eye coordination, foot-eye coordination, whatever it is, like, so valuable. So, like, I wanted to harp on that a little bit more. But, honestly, I think that the thing that was so valuable was all of our like techs, like with Southwest and like with Villains and stuff. You emphasize so much on like footwork and technical ability and all that, where like if you grow and you're no longer the fastest guy or the biggest guy, you don't lose your touch. That's something that's always going to stick. And then you kind of just like, you got to adjust your game based on your attributes. So like I always kind of maintained the size, but I lost a lot of my speed. So it's like, okay, now I need to change my game and shift it more to where like I'm probably not gonna be able to out sprint a guy every single time center back, but maybe I can hold him off still or whatever. Like come in pockets and kind of use my body in certain situations. So it's like it's sometimes a lot to ask of a 13, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, but like it's kind of your intelligence of the game has to grow a little bit, because you go and watch 8-year-olds play hockey or soccer or anything like that, and like it's just kick and chase, and it's not like any fault to them. It's just the reality of the situation. You're just young, like you got so much room to develop, and as the game goes on and there's more rules kind of introduced and larger field, more players, you just get a little bit more intelligent. And that's where I think that helped me a little bit. I feel like I was always a relatively intelligent player. And then just consistency. Like I always believed in my ability, even at times when I was frustrated and not exactly the most confident guy. I knew that I had it in me, and like I kind of stuck it out and like had some dark times where like I had debated quitting footy like before going to uni, but like I knew like I had put so many years of effort into it, and my parents have put so many dollars into it that it would be I think, a bit of an injustice if I didn't see it through and see how far I could get to kind of go. And I mean, here we are now. I'm very grateful that I did. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like the technical ability, because that's something you can control. Like you can go to your backyard, you can go into your garage and just do like just dribbles through cones or just juggling. Like juggling was huge as well. Just work on your touch, because that stuff is controllable. Like I always kind of say these days, like control the things that you can control, right? And that's one of them. So
Seb, something that's come to mind during listening to you talk about your youth, and also knowing your university and your professional career. And obviously, we'll get to that too. But a lot of it has to do, in my opinion, with believing in yourself and having that full-hearted self-belief. Can you touch on that? How it's impacted you both in youth, when maybe there were dips in the road, but also in university and in the professional world, how your own self-belief is what helped in the long run?
Yeah, I think honestly that's been huge for me. It's like maybe a little bit. No, I'm not. I was gonna say maybe it's a little bit silly, but I don't think it's that silly. Like I've always obviously wanted to be a professional soccer. Like I feel like most kids that play a sport kind of dream of being a professional soccer player or a professional athlete, whatever sport they choose. But as I kind of progressed throughout my life, that like want kind of turned into a belief, and I never felt that I really lost that. Like I've always felt that at one point I would end up playing pro footy, no matter where it is. Because obviously, when you're young, you think like, oh, I'm going to play for Real Madrid, I'm going to play for Bayern Munich. And like, it's good to have those goals, but it's not exactly always realistic. But as kind of things progressed, and I realized the potential pathways, especially kind of coming up, and the CPL kind of coming into fruition as well, I was graduating high school, and just learning more about how there's many different leagues and many different opportunities, like that kind of furthered my belief. And, even at UBC, when I wasn't necessarily starting all the time or getting significant minutes, I still felt that like what I am able to contribute and to produce on the soccer field is like could be at a professional environment, and like I could have success in a professional environment. I could make a professional team. And yeah, so it was just like, I don't really know how to explain it, but I've always just, I have truly just believed that I could do it, even in moments where I wasn't necessarily, playing significant minutes or contributing significantly to the team, because I believe that like, although of course there's certain decisions that are, important for the coach to make in the benefit of the team, I felt that like I have more to give. And even in terms of like my potential and my development, I know that I have a lot of potential, or had a lot of potential, to kind of make that next jump, make that next step. And obviously like your confidence can falter at times given the situation that you're in. But my belief stayed, I think, relatively consistent. Because I look back and like there hasn't really been a time where I've been like, no, like I don't think I could make it. I've always thought I could, but then it actually like happening was pretty surreal. Yeah,
that's amazing, man. That's amazing. Even looking back and thinking about how we played together in youth, and I'll be honest, man, like the last 3, 4, 5 years, I barely thought about youth at all, in terms of like people that I played with, or like the next gen program or anything. And then just reconnecting with you recently has really brought me back to, thinking that this guy really did have belief from the time when we were 12 until now that he's going to play professional. And so for me, that was just such a surreal moment too, to know like, that's, he knew like 12 years ago that he was going to be in that position. You are, right? Yeah. So one thing, I do want to come back and talk a little bit more about confidence and ego and whatnot too, but I want you to chat about your university career leading into your professional career and going into there, because there's there's tons of stories there, and undoubtedly lots of lessons that you learned, and also things that you discovered both about yourself and about maybe the team environment of a university squad or a CPL team that would be valuable to be shared. So if you don't mind talking about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of stories that can come out of talking about uni soccer. But yeah, I had a very interesting, I think, university career, given COVID and everything else that kind of happened. But I can kind of give the rundown, and then we can break it down as we go if we want, or at the end. But to start with, so you go into a program as prestigious and decorated as UBC men's soccer, most national championships in the nation, most Canada West titles in the conference, like by a landslide. You don't really know what you're getting yourself into, in a sense, because the guys are going to be good, but you don't really know how good and what the level is. But man, that was a rude awakening.
Wow. Hey.
Just walking into preseason and playing with guys like Tommy Gardner, like Danny Kaiser, just ballers, And as a freshman, as a first year coming in, like I hadn't even turned 17 when I came, or haven't even turned 18 when
That's
I came
right, you're a late
preseason,
birthday.
because I was a late August birthday.
Yeah.
So 17-year-old kid showing up, getting absolutely ran circles around in rondos and stuff. And I'm like, what am I doing? This is crazy. But I guess once again, kind of going back to the belief, I was I worked my butt off to get here.
Yeah.
The coach saw something in me. I know I'm supposed to be here. I was realistic in the fact that I knew starting and being an impact player right from the get-go was unrealistic, because you got too many names, too much competition. But for me, it was make sure I stay in the team. I'm on the roster, I'm part of the team, I'm in sessions, I'm competing day in, day out, sort of thing. And Moj was unreal about kind of creating pathways for all the guys and opportunities for all the guys. So we got a Div 1 team, a men's team, because they play throughout the wintertime, same time kind of as our season. So for all of the guys that kind of were first years or second years that weren't really getting minutes, weren't dressing, we had the opportunity to go and play in those games. Wow. And that was great because, playing against men, it kind of, pardon me, hardens you up. It gets you ready for university or whatever else. Because youth to men's league, it's a bit of a rude awakening. Maybe some of those guys aren't as fit, but I can tell you they're as physical, and if not more. Actually, they're always more physical.
Yeah, I was gonna say, bro, they're more.
But that helped me a ton. I kind of blew it up in that Div 1 men's league, which was good because I kind of gained confidence going to that, and that helped me in training sessions and all that. But having that pathway where you don't necessarily feel like you're falling behind, because even though there's guys playing Canada West games week in, week out, you're still getting minutes, valuable minutes that will improve your growth on top of the training that you're doing. And Moj was good about scheduling friendlies in the off season and getting guys minutes everywhere, and always at a reasonable level where it's you're not putting a 17-year-old that's hasn't really played any games and getting them to play against the Whitecaps too, right? It was, he'd find opponents that were challenging enough where you're seeing growth and you're seeing improvement. So yeah, I redshirted my first year because of that. But I mean, I had a conversation with my coach, and it was the right decision to make. And I'm grateful for it. I got to save a year of eligibility, which I think was smart. But then second year was COVID, and well, actually not even second year, second semester of my first year.
Yeah, because it was March.
Sent home. Yeah, everybody got sent home. So that threw a ring into things. But also, I should mention, in my first year, a lot of kids that go into playing university sports, they're obviously going in very excited. You're playing university, big step, whatnot. Feel like you've made it, but it was tough going in, leaving family, leaving long distance, girlfriend at the time, leaving all of your buddies that stay back home. On top of that, not really knowing anybody on the team, then having to work your way into the team. where you're competing all the time, and then like with school as well. Like I was doing eng, so it was grind at the same time, trying to just pass classes, and that's something that like people don't really talk about. And in a sense, like having the team was so valuable because you start to get so much closer, especially with like the rookies. Like I got some of my like best buddies for life that were rookies with me that we went through the whole like UBC time with. And first year for me was kind of like, let me stick it out and get through it. It wasn't exactly the most enjoyable time. I love the footy aspect, but everything kind of piled up on itself, and it became a lot. But then, yeah, second year or end of first year, everybody kind of got sent home, and it was a really weird time because there was no training, nothing going on really, or you couldn't really train. You could kind of, but not really. And so I ended up coming back second semester of second year just for the spring semester because as like UBC we were still training because we like there were certain restrictions that we were able to put on our sessions that allowed us to still train with like while still abiding by the regulations and the laws, and so we did that because I didn't want to go a whole year without training at all, or at least like not with a team. So we did that, which was like not anything to really write home about. Like it was pretty standard sessions, just kind of
technical.
Like just kind of like just crappy because you were very restricted in what you could do. And it wasn't really on anybody. It was just a position that we kind of got put in. And then third year was when things kind of like just kind of got back to the way things were. And when I kind of first got my opportunities, I started playing some more games, started off as a sub, then started to kind of score a couple goals, finally started get to starting games, being in the starting 11 and whatnot. Scored on my first start actually, which was nice because that kind of helped me progress. But that year was wild for us as a team at UBC. Like we had like more ties than wins and losses. It was like a freaky year. I don't even think we won our division. Yeah, UVic won the division, and but we trusted ourselves because we knew like our program is good. We have the players. It was just a weird like kind of coming back off COVID year. Lots of injuries, lots of weird things going on. Some crazy results. Some of like some embarrassing results, but then we got into playoffs and we got the job done. We went to MRU, played MRU in the semi. Jackson Farmer scores in extra time, like 112th minute or something, to go 1-0 up against MRU, and then we played UVic in the final of Canada West, and I scored the winner.
Let's go.
And that was nice because that was at home, well, like in my home, being Calgary. With my family and friends and everybody there, winning Canada West, like actually winning because we won in 2019, but like I was a redshirt, so I didn't feel like I really contributed. So knowing that I contributed in that third year was pretty special. Definitely like top tier moment for me at UBC. And then I went to nationals, but we got Carleton in the first round or in the quarterfinal, like the very first game, and Carleton at home in Carleton.
Oh my God.
We go 2-0 up at before the end of the first half. Then Gabby Bitar, which funny enough is now a teammate of mine at Van FC, just destroys us.
Really?
They end up tying up the game 2-2. We go to pens. We lose in pens. We go out. So that was tough. But that was my first introduction to like nationals footy, which was really cool. But tough loss, of course. And then my fourth year, 2022, was our big national year. All the top dogs, like the Victories and the Tommies and Fusses and Danny's and whatnot, were last year graduating. They were like, this is it. Like we're gonna go the whole way. Absolutely, like dominated Canada West, won Canada West again, which was good. I like for me it was a bit of an off year because I didn't really get as much of an opportunity to play as I would have liked. I was kind of coming off the bench relatively consistently, kind of having to take the minutes that I got and do whatever I could with them, which I felt like I still contributed in however ways I can. I had a pretty good kind of goal to minute ratio, but yeah, it was not exactly the most positive season for me individually, but seeing our guys that were graduating having that success was obviously always so exciting and positive.
100%.
And so we go to nationals at TRU, and I mean, I know Herd's talked about this a little bit in the pod, but
you probably gotta talk about it again, mate.
I know I don't want to, but obviously we beat TMU in the quarterfinal, I think like 4-2, pretty comfortable. We have the best game I think I've ever seen people play, or like our team play in a UBC shirt in the semifinal against Montreal. Tommy Gardner scores one of the craziest free kicks I've ever seen from like 35 yards out. They put a guy on the post and he jumped and he put it in between the guy and the crossbar. Craziness. And then, yeah, TRU, national final, lost in pens. Jackson Gardner. Man, guy's a buddy of mine now, but very frustrating.
3 games in a row.
Yeah,
saving pens.
3 games in a row.
That's
What
insane.
What a baller. But yeah, so that was a really tough loss for obvious reasons. I think we all felt that we deserved to win, but that's football. That's how life works. But I think it was really important for us to make it that far, and because we were so used to, before that, I think the last 4 times we had been to nationals, every single time we lost in the first game. So making it out of that first game into a semifinal game, into a final game, giving all those guys experience, even though some of them were, of course, graduating, for the guys that weren't graduating, like myself, giving them experience in those games was so valuable. And look what happened this year, right?
Yeah.
The boys won. They freaking did it, which I'm so excited. Obviously, I wish I could have been a part of it, and it hurts my soul. But it's that experience in those big games that was so important. And so it's even with those guys, it's they walked so we could run, and so the guys this year could run, sort of thing, right? You gain that experience. Actually, I'll give credit to Hertz. He gave me that quote. But yeah, that, I think whole experience, losing that game was tough. And then my 5th year, last year, was a pretty good season for me. And for UBC as a whole, to be fair as well. We ended up having, I think, the best record that a UBC team has had, or the most points, in a single season in UBC history. And then I had scored the most goals in a single regular season that season as well. Came home with U Sports Player of the Year and Canada West Player of the Year. But it's nice winning that stuff, but it hurts because we didn't win the whole thing. We didn't win natties. We got to nationals. We lost to Montreal in the semifinal, which stung. We lost 2-0. And watching that game, or playing in that game, I hit the crossbar in the 60th minute. And then 5 minutes later they score. And I'm it's a matter of inches, man. It's a matter of inches. And so for all of the success that I had in myself, of course, it was amazing feeling, and I'll have that forever. It's coming shy when so close once again. It hurt, but like I said, the boys got it done this year. The trophy's back where it belongs, back home. So I'm very, very happy for them.
Incredible.
Yeah, UBC back on top.
Incredible. One thing I noticed you talk about when you were talking about I think it was your 5th year when you got U Sports Player of the Year and you got all these accolades and you beaten the U Sports goal record, or UBC goal record. Pardon me. I just found it so good that you got these stuff, but you didn't win, and that wasn't as viable to you as the boys not winning. You were upset and you were I got this stuff, but it didn't actually matter to me because we didn't actually put it to bed. And that shows to me that it's this is a team game, first of all, but it also shows the mentality behind the person that's won this stuff here. You could have easily just said, screw it, I got this, and this is a great year for me, whatever, I'm happy with it. But at the end of the day, I would beg to think that you would have rather won the national championship than won those accolades yourself. Is that kind of, am I kind of on the money with that one? Or?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think that there's a beauty in celebrating with your brothers who you've been in the trenches with for years, and knowing like what the program means to the coaches, us players, the training staff, like everybody, like we're coming in every single day for quite literally in certain situations, certain years, like 12 months of the year, like every single month, every single day we were out there training. Rain, snow, didn't matter. We were training after national championships, before, whenever, like, and so that like, that's why you want to win the big things. That's why, you know, everyone, you talk about NBA players, NHL players, NFL players, like they don't care about the individual accolades. They want to win the chip. They want to have that ring. And and I think that there's something special also about like university as a whole, because you win that, and you win that with like truly your brothers that you've been together with for 5, 4, 3, 2 years, right? Like for a long time. A lot of the time in pro sports, like a guy will come to a team, he'll come halfway through the season and win a championship. And like, that's still incredible. I mean, of course, but it's like, it's about the fact that you've been with these guys for so long and you've gotten to know them, and like they become your best friends. And that's what makes it so special. That's where like, I'm still like, I can go and celebrate with the lads that won it this year. And like, it makes me so happy and I'm so proud of them. But that's where like, I obviously had wanted to win it, you know, when I was wearing the jersey. But kind of with that, like last year, I took it upon myself to take the responsibility to kind of lead the team with, of course, other guys like Moss and Hertz and stuff. And because of the turnover that we had from the year before, I feel like a lot of people were writing us off right from the get-go, and writing me off in that sense as well. And I knew that I had a lot to give. I had, you know, been playing at this school now for 4 years. Like I know what it's about. I know what it's like now to play in big games, in national finals, and Canada West finals, and whatever. And so like I kind of relished the opportunity to take the team and carry it kind of as far forward as I could. And like the beauty with UBC is you just get so many ballers that come there. Like we had rookies like Breno wins Rookie of the Year that year as well. Luke has an outstanding season as a rookie. And it's like, we always have kind of the foundation, the building blocks. It's just a lot of the time you need to have those leaders. And I was excited about that opportunity. Like Moss and Herds are natural leaders. They stand out with that. But I feel like for myself, I kind of had to like mature and kind of lock in a little bit. And, you know, it ended up being a successful individual season for me. But I think that with my individual success, we had team success. Obviously, we don't have the trophies to show for it, but like we were able to, you know, have the best regular season record, still made it to nationals, still made it to the semifinal, end up finishing with bronze. Like these are, you know, achievements that I'll take with me and that are very important to me. Would have been, you know, amazing to like lift a trophy at the end of the year in November, but it's life. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that challenge, and obviously grateful that it paid off. So
100%. Man, I'm listening to all these, and I have so much questions I want to ask you, and so many things I want to go back to. But I remember, I know we're now in your third, fourth. I'm not sure, fifth year was last. I know we're in that and talking about that way, but I actually want to go back to your first year. Something I want you to talk about more on was describe the difficulty of actually leaving your hometown, leaving your family, leaving your girlfriend at the time, leaving these things and living in a whole new city, and then transitioning into engineering and the education as well, and training every single day. We talk about that, how different it was, because I have personal experience of how tough it was for me, and everyone, I'm pretty sure it's fairly around the same level and stuff, but tell us your experience about the differences and how tough it may have been for you.
no, it's really tough. at least I found it quite tough. Yeah, it's, you find, like, or at least for myself, like I found that myself putting a lot of pressure on myself and succeeding in all these different kind of facets of life, whether it be academics or athletics, but then also trying to maintain a social life and whatnot. And yeah, it's tough because there's so many new factors that come flying towards you. Like you are, for the first time really in your life, not like living with your family, being away from everybody that you kind of know and love. So you got to kind of make new friends and find your way. And then school, like everybody always talks about the jump from university to high school, but high schoolers never take that jump seriously. Everybody's like, yeah, like it's not going to be that bad. And I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I remember to this day, my first math midterm, math 100. I did calculus in high school. Like I was a keener in high school, a little bit of a nerd. And so like I finished with like a 95, 96 in calc in high school. And I go in and I'm like, oh yeah, like first math 100, I've done all this calculus stuff. It's gonna be a breeze. So I studied like a couple of days before, walk into that final. Oh my God. I did not know nothing in that thing. I was flipping through the pages like, what is going on?
What language is this?
And yeah, a couple of days later, I open up my laptop, grade comes out, 42%.
My
I was like, oh, this is a wake-up call.
No kidding.
My mom's calling me. She's like, what are you doing? Like, what's wrong with you? Are you kidding me? Like, get your stuff sorted. Like, figure it out. And that was kind of a wake-up call that I needed, especially on like the academic side of things, because like with footy, you're going in training every single day, you're giving it your all, like, and like you love the sport, so it's easy to do that. And it's competitive, and obviously it still takes a toll, but like that is your break during the day from studying and from going to classes. So like that wasn't too bad, but it was the adjustment of like now being away from home and then struggling with school big time, while still having to manage soccer, where, I kind of had to lock in. And I got to give credit, like I had like my best buddy from Calgary. We lived together at UBC in our first year. We went to high school together, and then we moved out to UBC and stayed in the dorms together. And like, he grounded me, and I know that I grounded him. And like, if we didn't have each other in first year, like we would have been screwed, like for sure. And just having somebody like that to lean on, like in person, being able to like, walk over just right next, because we had like a connected single, so we had like a shared washroom, and you just walk over. Being able to just like walk over to his room and just chat and kind of talk about your problems, about your struggles or whatever, or just have a good laugh, because sometimes that's all you need. That kind of got, I think, both of us through, but I know it got me through for sure. And I mean, he knows that I'm eternally grateful for that, and the place that he holds in my heart. But and I mean, obviously, kind of same thing with like the rookies of the soccer team. We got very close, and like I went through some tough times, but like one of my buddies went through like hell. Like, I'm not gonna go into it because it's not my place, but he went through a lot, and so I think us all being there and kind of going through the struggle together allowed us to then come out the other side a lot closer and successful. Like, I don't think I actually ended up failing a class. I got very lucky with that math class, very lucky, but it all figured itself out. And like, at the end of the day though, that's kind of just life. Like, you're going to be put in positions where you're facing struggles and facing adversity, and you kind of sometimes just got to stick it out. And once second semester rolled around, like, I wish COVID didn't happen, but it did. But before that, like, I was flying. Like, classes were going good. I was, playing well footy, starting to make friends outside of kind of my core group, and like things were looking up. Sometimes you just kind of got to get over that hump. But yeah, that was the struggle of first year. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
So that's what I want to say, and that's what I want to bring up here, especially with whenever I'm sitting down with the university player, professional players. Yes, talk about the struggles, but specifically the first year struggles.
Yeah.
Because that's universal. And I've talked to so many players, and I've told them, like, look, it's going to be different. You're going to go through tough times. It's only natural. And I'm really happy that you brought up, it wasn't just the tough time of moving away or class struggling and stuff. Like, there were like actual mental challenges. There were actual, like, one of your friends went through hell. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's things that happen to people like in first year, but you don't take into consideration.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost like, how do you prepare for that? Well, you prepare for that for knowing, like, hey, don't be coming in thinking, oh, my first year is going to be a breeze. No, you gotta have a little less entitlement on it. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta come in with a little less of an ego. Like, firstly, your spots has to be earned. Secondly, school's gonna be tough. Thirdly, things are gonna happen that you're not accounting for to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how do you respond to that? If you spent the last 18 years of your life living with your parents, kind of, not that they maybe did everything for you, but that, they were your caregivers or whatever. Now you're in a new city, you're in a sport where the environment is incredibly tough, whichever university you go to. UBC, the hardest in Canada, to be fair.
Yeah.
But any single school is gonna be tough for sure. And making new friends, doing new things, you have responsibility for you now. If you're not prepared for that, it's kind of on you then. You know what I mean? And I hate to say it too, my first year, very similar, I was not prepared for that. And I'm not even talking about the school or the soccer side, but all the extra little things, like living in a house with 4 other guys from the team. Like, the amount of BS that happens there, like, it's insane. But you think it's just having fun and stuff like that.
Well, it's uni, right? Like, you think you have no responsibilities.
Exactly. You think it's fine to party on a Thursday night when you have a test on Friday at 8 a.m. It's okay, well, that's not right at all. But those are the things that you learn as the journey goes on. Those are things that I didn't really prepare for or wasn't mature enough to really do. And I don't think a lot of 18-year-olds are, honestly. Yeah. And that's just kind of the reality of this situation here. But I learned, you learned, everyone here that has gone to university and played soccer has learned. And I'm hoping that through our experiences, they can learn too. Yeah. If they see this, they can maybe learn, okay, well, that's a good point. Like, I may not come in with the same mentality of what I thought I was going to come into, because things aren't like what I maybe expected to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But like, I will say, and I need to say this as a disclaimer because it's super important, me moving away was the best decision I could have made. I will preach this to every single kid playing soccer right now. You don't have to be an athlete. You can literally just be going to school. Go away for school. It is a bit more expensive. It's going to hurt you. Take out some student loans if you need to, but do it, because getting the independence, you learn so much more about yourself. You get more mature because you're going to have to sublet, or you're going to have to rent. You have to learn how to make dinners, do laundry, whatever the heck that your parents did for you. You got to figure that out on your own. And having that independence to be able to go and play some FIFA with the lads on a Tuesday night, or go and grab some beers or something on Friday, like, just having that flexibility is incredible. And uni is such a weird time where, like, you have responsibilities, but you don't really have responsibilities. Like, you got to get grades, and you got to be successful in certain areas. You got to probably network and look for jobs and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, you're just kind of chilling at school with all your homies around, like, hanging out, going out if you want to go out, doing silly stuff. Like, it's just 100%. It's such a good time. So for anybody that is currently now debating whether or not to stay home or go somewhere, leave. You'll always come home, and your friends will always be home. But making new friends outside of the city that you grew up in is so, so important. It's so much fun.
So honestly, to me, it's almost like it's a natural part of life.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a natural 18-year-old natural end to go to Lethbridge for me. It's a natural beginning. Yeah. And then even come back was a natural end to Lethbridge in the beginning for me too. Right? It's a natural way of things too. So I completely agree. But again, tons of stuff that I want to even talk about with university and youth. But I want you to chat now. We're getting kind of towards the end. We're pretty long podcast now, but I definitely it's all good, my guy. I definitely want you to chat about your experience as a first-year professional footballer for Vancouver FC. I've never had a friend that I grew up with that has played at your level. Like, we talked to Aiden, we talked to, other guys too, where they have had some exposure, maybe been to Europe and stuff. But I grew up with you and stuff, and it's an incredible achievement. And I want you to share that with the P90 viewers.
Well, thank you. First off, I do think that got a lot of room to grow still, but yeah, it was a pretty, first year playing the sport I love for money. I cannot complain. It's pretty special. And I will say it was nice because with it being in Vancouver or being in Langley, the transition was a lot easier because I was already there at UBC. So kind of to give some background, we have preseason, and I came in on trial and had some good games on trial, kind of worked my way in, and earned a contract, scored some goals in some preseason games. And then, got that U Sports contract, obviously coming out of school. And then, first year pro, like for me, I went into it with a very open mind. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And like I was focusing on how much can I grow, how much can I develop, how much can I learn from these guys? Because I have teammates that were playing in like Serie A, Sampdoria, or La Liga, like unbelievable players at playing at super high leagues, like in the past throughout their careers. And so it was just for me, like how much knowledge can I retain from them, and how much better can I get? Because I'm a very, very firm believer in the environment that you play in will replicate like how kind of good you play versus not. So like playing in a better environment allowed me to grow and become a better player. And I mean, like VFC was very kind of like helpful to me. Coaches were always kind of giving advice. A lot of the players, I got close with a lot of the guys on the team that kind of took me in under their wings and showed me the ropes, extra training, whatever I needed. And we just had a good group in general. There was a lot of camaraderie, a lot of good banter, which made it easy to kind of ease into the environment and start to get to know how things go and learn more about the professional game. But no, it was pretty special. Obviously, there was lots of ups and downs, and I wish I could have earned more minutes throughout the season. But sometimes it's just how life works, and tried to take the opportunity when it was presented to me. And I mean, I did get some valuable minutes in regular season CPL games, so I can't complain. Probably should have had a couple goals, but that's on me. But yeah, it was a pretty special experience, and hopefully not the last experience.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah. What can you talk to me about? Now this is again going to come back, I guess, to maybe self-belief, but Seb, big thing that I wanted to talk to you about. You've had a very decorative career, both in U Sports and now, well,
to an extent. I don't know what
he's a humble guy. He's a humble guy. You've had a very solid U Sports career, and you're now entering the professional career after your first year at Vancouver FC. You've undoubtedly yourself experienced the whole confidence and ego thing, but also probably seen confidence in players versus ego in players, just like myself, both as a player and a coach. Now, I want to have a bit of a discussion on whether you can touch on ideas of both, when you've seen confidence and ego, maybe also in yourself, but in players as well, and the differences, because people they mix up the two in my experience. So they think confidence is ego is confidence, and to me they're very different things. And maybe you have a different opinion on it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that subject.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, confidence is super important. I talked about it obviously earlier. Every athlete needs confidence in themselves, or else they won't have any success.
Yeah.
But I think the main kind of recognition is, that didn't really make sense, but the main thing that players need to understand, or that like I found I needed to understand, was you need to have respect for like your teammates and the players around you, because there's always going to be somebody with more experience or better technique or whatever, more goals, whatever the case may be. And it's like knowing your worth and knowing what you can contribute to a team. Like, don't devalue yourself ever, because I found myself doing that as well, and it's put me in bad positions. Like recognizing that you have the ability to keep up with these guys, and maybe even surpass them, but like it's a team game, and if you are coming here and acting like you're something that you're not, especially when you're new to an environment, whether it's university or whether it's a pro environment. I just think it's always like you'd always rather be humble and end up being more successful than come out the gates with a crazy ego and then fail. It just looks terrible.
100%.
And that happens all the time. And so like it's kind of like those like little Instagram reels and whatnot, but like, you know, work in the shadows and just grind on your own or whatever the case may be, and have the results speak for you. Because, you know, you can be a confident player, you can be asking for the ball or whatever, and like demanding more of your teammates. But you got to find a balance and understand kind of who you're talking to, and like have respect for the guys around you, even coaches as well. A lot of the time it's not even really ego between players, it's ego between a player and a coach. And it's like recognizing 100%. Like this person has, you know, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years of experience over you, like pipe down, you know, like recognize that they're looking out for you and for the team at the end of the day. Like they want you to succeed and they want the team to win. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the decision that they make, it may frustrate you, but you got to live with that. And if it's like a decision about maybe not starting you or not having you in the 18, then maybe you got to look at yourself and be like, what do I have to do to get into the 18 or to start? And I've had moments like that in university and in the pro game where I felt like maybe I should have got minutes and I didn't. And I kind of looked back and realized, oh, you know what, like he was right. Like we ended up winning this game for a reason because he brought this guy in and not me or whatever. Right. And it's like, you know, believe in yourself and believe that when you're going to come in, you can do it, like you can make a difference, but recognize that if you aren't getting picked, that like there's a logical reason for it. It's not out of spite, like 99 times out of 100. Right. So that's what I would say is 100%. The biggest difference.
When I think, Seb, I think that honestly extends to life in general. There's a massive difference between a person who has confidence versus a person who's got ego. Someone with confidence doesn't have to walk around and tall up and tell people how confident they are. They just have it. And it's even the same with, you can tell a person is confident when they walk in the room. Like that's the exact same thing. It's like that silent confidence. Kind of the same thing you were saying with grinding in the shadows too. But it extends to life in general as well. Everybody I know, whether I was growing up with or know to this day, that has a big ego is just not, they're not at the trajectory they could be at. You know what I mean? It's like they believe themselves to be higher than they actually are. And in that way, they're actually hurting their development in whatever they're doing in life. This goes beyond football to me. Yeah. The trajectory you have if you are a confident, competent, capable person is so much higher, and it's in the shadows, like you said. It's silent. But the ego itself, it always gets in the way. I read a book one time, it's called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday, and that's what honestly changed my whole mindset about it. Because before, when I was maybe 18, 19, 20, I thought that like, oh, like you can earn an ego. There's no room in this world to ever earn an ego. What the hell are you talking about? I earned an ego to think that I'm the best. No, that's not how it works. Right. Like I'm a firm believer on like nothing is world's ever given to you, and if you get it and it's earned, you still don't earn an ego. Like that's just ridiculous to me. And so I think for maybe these younger players that are seeing people online or seeing professional footballers kind of with that like swagger, with that like kind of, you can tell when they kind of got an ego and like, oh yeah, like that's sick. Like no, it's not. And I don't think that's going to help their own personal development. Yeah, they're at the level that they are, but with an ego, I think they won't get as far as they can with that just true silent confidence. And that's an honest opinion for me, that you have to have that confidence, but it can't ever translate into ego. It can't, because it's going to hurt you long term. Yeah. So that's my honest opinion on it.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I do agree. I think that having like a swagger and a confidence, I think can sometimes be healthy, because in certain situations, like athletes maybe like in a sense like don't believe in themselves, so they have to like create a kind of persona. But going back to kind of what I was saying, it's like, you can sniff out ego by interactions with people, not necessarily what you look like. Yeah. Because like, you know, you look at like NFL players like a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase, like they like breathe that kind of swagger about them. They walk on the field, they got their chains, whatever, like they look sick and they got confidence, but maybe they have a bit of an ego because of how good they are. But I know that they're also very coachable players, which have gotten them to the position that they're
Exactly.
in. So yeah, of course you have egos and prima donnas even at the highest levels, and like you don't want to be replicating those behaviors. But there's a lot of guys that have kind of confidence and swagger that's mistaken for ego. But at the end of the day, they're some of the most coachable, most like best teammates. Like a Russell Westbrook in the NBA is a guy that I love, my favorite player.
Yeah.
He is kind of like that, where he's got a swagger about him. He's got his whole clothing and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, he's like the best teammate everyone talks about. Oh, he's such a good teammate, and he'll fight for you, he'll kill for you, sort of thing, right? So that's my opinion, but I totally agree with what you're saying.
But I'm gonna even agree with you too, because I'm gonna say everyone's got their thing that like wants themselves to like stand out or appear like more, I don't know, deadly or masculine or something. Like, for me too, like I'm be personal about it. Like, I'm a nice guy down at heart, but I have tattoos, and some people might think that that's like not what a nice guy would have. But if you had a conversation with me, you would know. You know what I mean? And you know 100%. Me growing up and stuff like that, that I'm not a whatever you want to call X, Y, Z. And I know many people have tattoos. That's not really my point, but everyone's got their one thing that's like, okay, well, this person looks this certain way, so I'm gonna judge them. Yeah. But to me, I'm gonna say with this, if you're gonna judge me for my tattoos, I don't really care, and I'll tell you why. Because I care about, like, I want to say 3-4 things in my life. That's literally it. I care about my job, I care about my family, I care about my girlfriend, I care about my friends. And the problem with kids nowadays is that everybody gives a shit about this little thing and this little thing and that little thing and this, and everybody cares about a million different things. You only have a limited amount of things to care about in your life. Yeah. Right? Why waste them on things that just literally don't matter or are superficial? And me, the 16-year-old, I cared about so many things. 18, so many things. At the time I was like 22, 23. I was like, why? Why? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're on this world for not even that long of an amount of time, and you're gonna waste this potential energy caring about things that just don't matter, or people or things that don't matter. Care about 4 things. You have as much as a hand worth of caring. Yeah. Right, maybe I could add one more thing in here, but that's it. That's the only things that you should properly care about. And that's the honest truth, right? Why care about what someone's wearing? Right? Why care about, how someone looks? Like, I agree with you that, like, that not necessarily is ego, but that's just like a swagger, and I think that that's completely different. But at the end of the day, the superficial stuff doesn't matter to me. Yeah, it's impressive you've figured that out at such a young age. Usually guys figure it out like 40, 50, 60 years old. Like, I'm still figuring it out myself. I know that I get sometimes caught up in certain things, but yeah, it's impressive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%. Well, my guy, I wanted to ask you, and I don't even really know this myself, but what's next for you? What's next for the plan for Sabertooth? Yeah, that's another nickname we're throwing out there to the world. I love this game. So at the end of the day, for me, I want to continue to play this game, and now that I've, got my first year under my belt, it's continue playing the pro game, see where it takes me. Yeah, I don't really have any like one spot. Might end up going back to Van FC or go down a different endeavor depending on how things kind of play out. But maybe a little bit nervy, not knowing kind of what's going to happen, where I'm going to end up, but just kind of taking it one step at a time and trusting the process and not really the destination. So we'll see at the end of the day, but hopefully something involving pro footy. Love it, man. I love it. Last thing, I want to give a bit of an announcement. We're going to wrap this podcast up here. By the way, amazing chat with you, man. Thank you, man. That was incredible. But I wanted to let everybody know that Sebastian's team is entered in the off-season's best tournament, and it's actually going to be P90 sponsored. So the lads, they won it last year. It's a money tournament hosted by Elijah and Will Akio. It's on the 26th, 27th of December. What is it? P90 Muchen. Yeah, P90 Muchentuchen. P90 Muchentuchen. So the lads won it last year. It's a 25K all-in tournament. So yeah, I'm also playing in it too. But the Muchentuchen boys, they were full. So yeah, just gonna be wearing the 90 instead. We got a good squad. Boys are hungry. Boys are buzzing. I think cautiously optimistic. 100%. We'll see how it goes. 100%. I'm excited though. You guys will be seeing a couple more clips in the coming weeks. A little bit of interviews and whatnot with the team, with Sabertooth as well. Yeah. And it's going to be a big event though. Everything, like, if you're in town and this comes out before that, then like come out, because
yeah, Elijah Adekube and the boys have really put a production together. So lots of potential for prizes in games and obviously the tournaments itself. There's a women's and a men's bracket, so lots of money to go around for both. Yeah, a little promo for Elijah. You're welcome. But yeah, come out. It'll be a great time, and we're excited to represent Matt's brand. I think he's got a great thing going for himself, and I got a lot of respect for what you do and what you've done so far. So happy to help however I can with wearing your badge on our heart. So.
I love it, man. Sabretooth, my guy.
Thank you, my friend.
My guy. Well done.